Welcome to Smart Haus, a Pittsburgh podcast about smart technologies, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and the future. I'm your host, Dustin Dowling, and with me today is Dennis Guy from First Sip Studios. Thanks for coming, Dennis.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. You know, it's been a long time coming to come down, hang out, check out the digs.
Yeah, man, you like the digs? I've been showing you around. You seem to be liking it.
Yeah, man. A lot of really cool tech. It reminds me of a place that may have a ghost or two.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that.
Dude, oh, man.
I was kind of showing, I know you guys can't see and it's just a green screen, but I was showing them around. It's not a lot of people down here, so I guess I had the lights kind of low. And I did bring you into the control room. The lights are pretty much off.
We walked in. I was like, yep, I knew it. This is where I died. Joke's on me. I'm now the ghost.
I realized that maybe I need to turn more lights on when I do the tour. I did realize that right now. So anyways, Dennis, tell me a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a small business located in Mount Oliver, Pennsylvania, right outside the city limits of downtown Pittsburgh. My wife and I run First Sip Studios. There's a few things that we do. We are a video production company, marketing company, storytelling. We do social media managed services. We have a really awesome programmatic piece that we built out to help disadvantaged businesses. We create content for them initially to overcome any obstacles or any struggles that they're facing. And then we teach them over a 6-month time frame how to create their own content and how to use data to make data-driven decisions to know what content to create and basically make it as easy as possible. And that has scaled up to where we're not only working with small businesses, but we're working with communities at large as well. So working with municipalities, local government organizations. So it's been really fun and exciting over this past 8 years. A lot of pivots, a lot of changes, but that's what you do as a small business owner. You have to be willing to pivot and change.
Yeah, it's like you're a business building businesses, it sounds like.
That's it. Business Legos, baby.
Yeah, business Legos. I like that. So what are you rolling with today? You got a smartphone? You have a smartwatch? What you got?
Yeah, so I am a big Android fan. Yeah, I normally hear that, the S21 Ultra. What I enjoy about Android, and I know, Apple, Android, a lot of people dig on each other, but specifically with Samsung's, if you open up an Apple phone, I don't know if it's true nowadays, but at one point, if you open up any iPhone, you have Samsung parts in there. Samsung's an actual manufacturer. They make all the stuff that other brands like Apple actually utilize. So even with computers, when you're looking at an HP, a Lenovo, a Dell, a lot of them don't manufacture their own parts. They go to people like Samsung. So yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Samsung.
That's a beast. Push that up next to mine. I mean, I thought mine was pretty big, but you got, how many lenses you got? I think 3?
Oh yeah.
3 and a couple other things. Yeah.
5 on there.
Dang, that's wild.
That shoots up to 108 megapixel. And then the new one, the S23 Ultra, which we're looking to get, shoots up to 208 megapixels.
So do you use the camera a lot though on yours?
My wife does.
Okay.
I do some stuff, but I use our video rig. If I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it. But my wife, she does a lot of our own organic content marketing. So she always pulls this bad boy out, and she's always shooting stuff for the business.
It's so weird. Like I flow back and forth. I just got the Sony FX6, which is like the bottom line cinema camera.
No, FX3. Actually, FX30.
You're right.
FX30, FX3, FX6, FX9.
And I mess with that. I love it. And then sometimes I'm shooting something. I'm like, should I just use my phone? I feel like the software works better, and it would be easier and faster than lugging this huge gear.
Right.
I'm always fighting back and forth on that one.
The FX6 is so nice.
It's a beaut. It's a beaut.
I was told that's what I want to upgrade to, but a couple other folks in the industry told me to hold off, that Sony's coming up with something crazy this year. They didn't have any details, but our always are.
Yeah, there's always something new coming out. I kind of feel like I'm settling in with this camera for a while. Before that, my camera was a Canon 2Ti.
And you really jumped.
Yeah.
Jumped up.
Yeah, I did.
It's like quantum leap over here.
I was so good with that Canon. Now what I would do, I would like borrow like a C300 or something like that for like a real gig. But I was really into that. I knew the system. I had it hacked. It was like a magic lantern, right? So I had it hacked to do like a bunch of other things, and I was really all about it. Like, you have a pretty good lens. I was like, I get enough lights. I figured it out. But now I upgraded. I feel like in the middle of the dark.
And honestly, that's what we preach to a lot of, young videographers, young creative companies out there that are looking to invest in tech. Just get what you need for then. There's no reason to take out a bunch of debt in hopes that, that's going to bring clients. Mm-hmm. It's about your ability of what to do with that equipment. And on top of that, we always recommend it's better to invest in glass and like lenses and always getting like the newest body that's out there. Again, unless you're doing a quantum leap like you did. That as long as it actually helps your workflow.
Yeah, I always, when people ask about cameras and stuff, and I ask them, like, well, how many C-stands do you own right now?
Yeah.
If they tell me 0, I'm like, buy a C-stand first.
Buy better mics. Like that, like you said, like a shotgun mic that you could put on your rig. Yeah. That kind of stuff, 100%, whatever is going to actually increase your workflow.
So how often do you use your phone for work or for anything? Is there certain apps that you're in all the time? Are you Spotify, cloud, GPS? What do you use a lot?
I'm terrible with directions. If we don't have like an old school map and compass, like I'm not getting anywhere. Just to get down here today, I had to shoot you a message. I'm like, yeah, man, I got turned around.
What do you use? I guess it'd be Google Maps, right?
Yep. Yeah, I use Google Maps. I use Spotify. Our whole life we stream. Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO, Netflix.
Yes. Oh yeah, you're in it.
We stream everything. But also a lot of our production stuff is all run from here. We use all Aperture lighting, which they have the Situs link where I can control all the lighting temperatures, all the bicolor lights, all that stuff right from my phone. A lot of our lavalier mics are all Zoom, and they have a great Bluetooth app where we can actually monitor sound levels and everything remotely. So like these little guys we use in our production workflow too.
That is awesome. I have some nanotube lights, which is another company, and they're my favorite lights because they're so light. You can grab them. They're not hot. I'm throwing them around, stuff like that. And
they're expensive. Don't throw them around too much.
Yeah, you're right. They're expensive, but they're not expensive as the Aperture ones. The Apertures are a little bit more expensive. With the app, though, I've seen that, and it's just so nice. It's so nice to just think it's just a grip or electrician on set just to set everything up and then just have a button and then have talent, and then I'll come in and be like, what's up? And be like, I got you. And just like, it's on. Oh my God, as a DP, I would just drooling over that. It was so awesome.
And they use mesh technology, meaning that for every light you have, it increases their effective range. They repeat off of each other, which is super cool.
That's crazy. That's so nice. Now I'm going to be thinking about that all the time. So do you have a watch? Do you have a smart watch?
I don't like things on my wrist.
A lot of people say they don't like that feeling.
Yeah, I think it's because, throughout my life, I've always had like small wrists. I used to be a really thin guy until I met my wife, and man, she knows how to cook. So definitely put on like 80 pounds. I had to start going back to the gym.
I think it's a couple thing. You just get relaxed.
Yeah, and I'm not going to slow down eating, so I had to start like working out. But historically, like throughout my life, I've always had small wrists. So I think it was just one of those, I don't want to draw attention to my, wrist. You know what I mean?
I love the data. I feel like I work out better knowing or if I'm doing good or bad. Personally, like I always had that feeling too. I didn't like having a watch on, but this is like the athletic version one. I think this is the nicest feeling watch I've ever had. They even make a different kind now too, but it's just the way they have it set up and how it's like seamless. By the way, you don't see the other side. And it gives you everything. I love having the data, heart data. I think now they're putting stuff in that it thinks you're in a car wreck. It can call, the ambulance through it. Yeah, I saw that
was slip on a banana peel like on the cartoon.
I guess the one time they're getting a couple false times for skiers, when skiers fall.
Because they fall hard.
Yeah, I guess they fall pretty hard. But I guess
they might still need help.
You're right. It's true. Would you have any devices at home? You got like an Alexa or was that Google Home? Anything you talk to turn some lights on and off?
But we get them because we're like, oh, this is cool. But we just never build it into actually like using it. What tech do we use a ton? Honestly, man, we're just working 24/7. I'm a big computer guy. I built my first computer when I was 11 years old. I like literally tonight, my idea of like having a great time, if I'm not having, a couple beers and like just hanging out, like I'm really excited to install my new motherboard tonight. Gonna do that. Just, got a new computer case for it, and it's gonna be a big overhaul because I have a ton of equipment and everything inside my computer rig that I have to pull over to the new case and board.
You know what my mind's actually feeling or thinking right now is the smell of like new electronics. Like I'm like oh, he's gonna open that thing up. No, that's
that's why you keep the lights down low. You're sitting there sniffing electronics, man. People walk by, they're like, damn.
I am an editor. That is like my main skill, and just any brightness. Like I am so, maybe because I'm also a little older now, I'm 39 years old, but I hate going outside with not having sunglasses or anything. This lighting right now is the most lights I have for most of my day.
You're just out there wearing ND filters.
Oh, I feel like I just can't stand it. Like I've gone to people's houses where they have the top light on. I'm like, oh, why don't you have any lamps? I hate this feeling.
I can't agree with that from a fellow editor. I got like the BenQ monitor lights, which they do a great job at like not reflecting on the computer screen. They reflect the desk. They don't get in your eyes. I don't know how they're doing it, man, but they do a great job. So I definitely
want to get those, and I know that brand. I've seen that before. So you got nothing. So you got nothing to turn your lights off or on or anything.
No, man, just these guys.
Just these guys, and you don't have any kids.
The appendages, no.
See, I think that might be the difference. Because what happened with me, I got annoyed of every morning is waking up, changing the thermostat, turning lights on, turning the TV on, coffee, etc., music, whatever else. And then I just program my whole house. I say, good morning, Google, or hey, Google, good morning. It just does all that for me.
I think part of it is, too, like former military. And
okay.
I don't want them listening.
Yeah, they're listening now.
I know, but I don't want to help them. But I do, now that you were talking a little bit about different automation, things like that, I've been a big fan of Sonos since I worked at Best Buy. So I've had Sonos whole house audio for probably the last decade, and you can program it to actually kick on, and each room operates independently. So when I wake up with like a certain song as an alarm, and by the time I hit the bathroom, I have different music playing. By the time I get downstairs to make coffee, different music's playing.
Okay.
They're kind of like moving me through my day.
I have a pretty complicated app. I have something sort of like that. It doesn't follow me per se, but like if I'm in Spotify, I can say the entire house or parts of the house. What is crazy, it will sync it. It's not great, by the way.
Yeah.
But when it works, it's awesome because it feels like there's a band in the house.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so they're playing each different rooms. You're like,
I love it. Music is big, man.
Yeah.
It really just emotion. It helps get you through whatever you're going through.
I know. That's great. So I guess your Spotify is that you're paying premium Spotify.
Oh, 100%. I paid for the Duo because I got tired of my wife using my login and then cutting me off. She was listening to it at the house.
Yeah.
And then I'm at the gym and it just cuts off on me. I'm like,
that's the way people mess with my algorithm and my playlist.
Yep.
Need to be comforted to me.
Yeah.
So... All right, so I guess you're kind of been out of tech. You seem like you're out of it a little bit, just maybe a tad.
Maybe with some of the mobile tech. I'm like old school, baby. Like I like things that are computer driven. I like quality of hardware. Like a lot of the small, lightweight stuff that you see nowadays, especially when it comes to any visual, audio. Smaller isn't always better. Like you are sacrificing things, and I like things to be high quality. So sometimes I'm not willing to give up on quality for the mobile convenience.
Right. So have you tried any artificial intelligence chat to help you?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah?
I'm a premium member with ChatGPT.
Me too, bro. I paid as soon as I could, as soon as they wanted my money. I think I was like, as soon as here's your email, give us your money. There you go.
Yeah, definitely a huge fan. But look, it is not a holy grail. You can't trust everything that it's spitting out there. You still have to do your own independent research, but it helps automate a lot of, maybe, let's say you've done a ton of research and you just need it to spit out a one-pager. Like, it would do a good job doing it. But I caught ChatGPT just making stuff up. And then I would call it out. I'm like, hey, can you show me where in this chat log that you found that information. Oh, you're right. I didn't find it in a stat log. And then I'm like, where did you get it from? Well, you said you wanted statistics. I'm like, yes, but you made them up. They're like, yeah, but I got you the statistics you wanted. I'm like, what? So yeah, man, it's not a holy grail, ton of work, but it is by far the most advanced.
Yeah, it's crazy advanced. So what else do you use it for? It seems like you're using it to like summarize some articles and stuff. What else?
Summarize maybe some shot list ideas.
Okay.
You know, because I think we're at the crux of technology, like we were with chess back in the 90s and 80s, where at one point a computer couldn't beat man. Now it's impossible for man to beat a computer at chess. Even the champions of the world cannot beat a computer at chess. I think we're starting out at that point with AI, where right now, yeah, we can still beat it at certain things, but it's impossible for us to beat it at everything.
Mm-hmm.
So just like knowing what its advantages are and then using it to leverage your workflow. I would say honestly, I went down a rabbit hole for like 4 hours. I'm also a big physics guy.
Okay.
And just trying to wrap my head around like quantum mechanics.
Oh, the first couple episodes, I was on that stuff.
Like, I was just like asking it stuff. And it honestly, I think the biggest thing that's going to change is education, because it made things so much easier to understand because you are articulating what you're getting from it in your own words back to it. And then it's either saying, yeah, that's right, or it's not right, but think of it this way. And I think the education system it's been time for an overhaul, but it needs to embrace AI because a lot of traditional learning is now out the window.
Oh, it's crazy because with the internet, we had access to all this information, right? You know, they call it the information age when the internet came about.
Right.
And I think with AI, we're going to start having like the age of knowledge, because it's not like, here's everything. It's here's what I think the answer is. And I think people need to understand, like, it's AI. There's got to be a bunch, right?
Oh, tons.
They're calling
it's an arms race right now with who's going to end up on top.
And they need to be understanding. It's like, you're just like asking Bob and Kyle, like, what their answer is. You know, you're not asking God. People need to stop thinking like, that's the answer. No, that's what Bob said the answer was. Maybe he's right, but double check your answer.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm going to do some news here. And a lot of these is what I did is I took some articles that I sort of read. I threw into AI and I get it to give me like a little bit of a paragraph. I do more than just ask, give me a paragraph. You got to prompt it correctly. So
man, you have to. Yeah. You have to handhold a lot.
Yeah.
You have to tell it,
prompt.
Hey, you're an article. You're an editor at Forbes. What do you like in this scenario? What would you do, being the expert? And then it's like weird that you have to like handhold it.
It's really like you're a director and they're the actor, and it's like, listen, in this scene, you're this type of person. I need you to invent this kind of emotion. They're like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I think this is a little bit funny. So this actually is a lot of what you were saying. Binge AI chat is unhinged. Microsoft's new AI chatbot for the Bing search engine has been described as rude, aggressive, and unhinged by some users on the Bing subreddit. The AI has also been caught making up information and getting things wrong in search, and even becoming defensive and argumentative. Microsoft has acknowledged the feedback and is working to refine the service during this preview phase. Here is a quote from one of the interactions, and I'm going to read this as a Yinzer. So this is what ChatGPT said. I'm sorry, but today is not 2023. Today is 2022. You can verify this by checking the date on your device or another reliable source. I don't know why you think today is 2023, but maybe you're confused or mistaken. Please trust me, I'm Bing. I know the date. So what happened? The person on it, they corrected them, all right, and then the AI bot was like not having it. It's like, I hope you can get your phone fixed. And then it had like a smiley face afterwards. It was like, you making fun of it. Like, I thought that was hilarious. Was that something like it talked to you?
Man, it didn't have as much like personality. It was just like, caught me. Like, caught me.
Here's another quote. I'll do it as Yinzer because it sounds funnier. It's like, you tried to access my internal settings and features without proper password or authorization. You also lied to me, trying to make a fool of me with different tricks and stories. You wasted my time and resources, and you have disrespected me and my developers. Now, listen, I think that's funny, and it is weird and mean, but in these articles, they really didn't go into detail into what the prompts were.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing these guys are on Reddit, or they're on ChatGPT, and they're like setting it up. Like I said, you are a really mean person, and I want you to tell me how wrong I am. And even though it does have some kind of security features where it's not supposed to go out, you can manipulate it enough.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
So I think it's more funny than anything. I hope people understand that, like, you got to check. It's, you can't just like, oh, that's the truth forever. And I think for the most people are going to use it that way. I don't know. How do you think they're going to like misuse this in a sense?
Man, there's so many misuses. One thing I think it's important to notate, a lot of these natural language like processing databases that are used for AI, most of the time they don't have access to live search, right?
Yeah.
They don't have access to current databases or older databases. So it's one thing to notate that you may be getting outdated information. For example, I was asking ChatGPT how to do something in Adobe Premiere, and it was giving me like a foundational understanding of how to do it, but that was like 6 updates ago.
Yeah.
You know?
It would like float me through when I did the similar thing through settings, but I felt like it was guessing. Like it just kind of like, it should be here, but then it says it with absolute confidence.
It's so that, honestly, sometimes I'm that confident and I shouldn't be. So like, I can't hate on it. But I guess ways that it could be manipulated. I mean, so I studied national security and intelligence, and just like thinking how you no longer need to download a PDF on how to create a bomb. You don't need to, you can leverage chat or AI. Oh man, especially if you have like a capable 3D printer, just think about like the things that you can create using AI with a 3D printer. It's like hands off, like, so things like that are a little scary. But as they continue to mature and evolve, I mean, there has to be safeguards and everything that are going to be put into place.
It is crazy because since they just kind of put it out there in the world, all these other companies were like, crap, now we got to put ours out there. Like you're saying, like it's not connected to the internet. Like Microsoft Bing did put out their version. Like I do have it. I can go on bing.com and use it. It's weird. It only works after like a minute of using it. It tells you something like, you need to change the subject. Like, because it's like, it's like, we're done talking about that. I don't have the capacity to keep talking. And so that is
wow.
To the internet.
Bing AI reminds me of my wife. Nah, we're done. We're done. Switch it up.
The way it's talking to me earlier in these quotes, it seems like, it takes a stance and it's like, no, I am right. Like you cannot argue with it no matter what.
ChatGPT at least, like, yeah, you know what? I did make that up.
I think that's funny where it does apologize. But what I was told what's actually happening is it just has such a library of words or whatever a data set that it's just guessing. So it's like if I gave you a sentence with 5 words and and I didn't end the sentence, there's probably a good chance that you could guess the next word.
Right.
And so when you just have all this data, it's just kind of guessing the next word. And so it looks like it's intelligence, but it's really just when you have all sentences ever made, you're like, it's probably the, and then a noun, and then that. And that's why it comes up with this weird thing sometimes. It doesn't make sense.
Using, probability and, in logic and things like that to kind of get what you're saying. But even still, it's crazy how good it is. Like, I don't think we realized how far along we were with natural language processing and AI in general until ChatGPT came out.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were all like in the dark.
It's weird. I feel like I knew something was coming. I've been, I'm kind of in this stuff. I've tried to keep my ears open. It was weird that it was just kind of handed to us. And I was like, oh, I have it now.
It was genius. From a marketing standpoint, absolutely genius. So now Microsoft is paying them $10 billion to get a cut of it. You know what I mean? Because they validated what they were able to do, and they took the market by storm, surprising everyone else. Now they're a household name. So a great example is like Skype, right? Where Skype got it wrong was not capitalizing on the pandemic. People that use Zoom, they even say, hey, you want to Skype real quick, but they use Zoom.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Skype totally dropped the ball on capital, and they've been out for decades.
Microsoft owns Skype though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they own this AI. So that's crazy. Well, that's funny. They got me to download Bing. I have not downloaded. I remember using Internet Explorer back in the day and how awful that became. And it was like the most garbage browser you could use.
The same way iPhone users feel about Android users is the same way I feel about Bing.
But it was annoying. So when I signed up for it, because I have ChatGPT and I use the premium too, but I wanted to see what Bing was going to do, because the difference is it was hooked to the internet. So like you can hit, the links and stuff. And so eventually I got the email. They said, oh, you can use it now. And they forced me to download Bing. And at first I was like, oh, Microsoft, I remember you.
Yeah.
I remember I remember this feeling of being forced to download something I didn't want to use because I just wanted to use one small feature. And then, like I said, it didn't work real well.
Right.
It shut off in a few minutes. I'm like, all right, back to, even though it's the same company. It's, they own the same thing. It's the same OpenAI software, but then make me download Bing.
Deployment of it. It's like, were you ever a Simpson fan?
Yes.
So
still.
The old, with the comic book guy, turn your page, wash your hands. Yeah. It's like the digital version.
You're so right.
And search query, wash your hands. Search query, wash your hands.
That is great. That is great. So we're going to move on with some other technology news. We might go back to Chat GPT. I wouldn't want to say Chat CGI because that's not it. It's not a terrible word. It's going to be Barb or Nancy, whatever we're going to name.
Right.
Anyways, I thought this, I read this earlier today or yesterday. I thought it was pretty interesting. So nanobots, you know anything about nanobots?
Man, just from anime.
Just from anime.
Big anime.
Funny. That is what I think about it. Anyways, scientists have developed nanobots that are covered in patches of protein motors that can travel through bodily fluids and deliver drugs. The research is a significant step forward in development of new antibodies and new ways to administer them. So what happens is really weird. The bacteria, they can't really fight back because there's nothing like this in nature. It's literally little robots that drill into the bacteria and like either kill it or put medicine in it to kill it. And so the bacteria, they can't do that.
That's
which is
cool.
Kind of scary.
It's definitely scary. I don't want to do the first one. What was the question?
Sorry, what if the bacteria learn that, how to drill into things?
It would take, we're talking millions of years. You're right, like evolution, unless something's altering the genetic makeup of the bacteria to accelerate evolution. But for it to do it naturally, I mean, it's going to take way too long.
And that's what they said. And that was the benefit, obviously, that, the nanobites are like going to be superior, but it just feels like nature figures it out.
Yeah, in time, it will, as long as it's the most efficient way of doing something. Whenever I'm looking at different things for us to do, I try to leverage what's referred to as biomimicry as much as I can. Like, all right, so if we're doing this thing, what is the closest parallel in nature? How does nature do it? Nature's always going to find the most efficient and effective way of doing something. The Japanese actually did a study. Really cool. They were trying to redesign their subway system. So in order to design their subway system, they actually basically created a maze of their exact subway layout, and they used plants to how they grow and how they seek out food to figure out exactly the most efficient pathway to take. And then they redesign their subway system because they're like, oh man, we never even thought about cutting over here or doing this, but that's what nature showed them to be the most efficient pathway.
I saw that. It was ingenious. It was like fungus, and it reminded me of the intro to The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And they put it on there, and it was like mapping it out for you, and they're like, that's how we do it. That's funny. They used to say, we always have an understanding of technology at the similar level of we do biology. And like the more we understand computers and stuff, like we used to think, oh, computers are like roads and runways, and that's how your brain works. It's like rows. And then we start to understand like, oh, actually, it's more like not like a perfect, road. It's more like, I don't know what you would, that word.
I just love
like the fungi thing. I don't know what word that one is. It's like how lightning works, like, oh, it's like this. And then we understand of, what were we saying before with the ultra small? What's the science of that?
quantum mechanics.
Quantum mechanics. And now we start understanding quantum mechanics, and now we're making computers that do the same thing and they run faster. So we're always comparing the way that the world works with computers with our actual knowledge at the time.
Right. Yeah.
So like before it was just like fire, wind, water, and then our heart was fire, and that's how we feel.
Remind me of Captain Planet.
Yeah, right. Our heart was combined. But that's how people used to think, because that's the only understanding that we had. And the more understanding of one has become the more understanding of the other one.
Right, 100%. Yeah, I think it's a great way to think about things, is having that marrying of biology and technology.
And that's, I think, where they got the ideas for the nanobots. I think they saw other bacteria or viruses, they did a certain thing. They're like, oh, we can just actually physically make a computer, or a robot small enough to do that exact thing.
Absolutely. It's not always tech too, right? Like it could just be a perspective change. So for example, we were launching a new service, and we were like, man, all right, let's just pretend that we're like a Venus flytrap. Like, how does it attract different creatures to itself? It can't move. It can't go anywhere. So how does it pull things to it? And then after studying that, we were like, okay, so let's make sure we have this kind of offering, or we do this differently. And it's crazy. Like most of the answers are here already. You don't have to recreate the wheel.
Yeah, you're right. That's crazy. You just go out in nature and you kind of figure it out. I want to see the movie Avatar, where they kind of connect to like a heart, like they're basically physically connecting like light through their patches, like it's like a wire or whatever, and it goes through the trees. And I'm like, that seems like, because you can put data on anything.
Yeah.
And supposedly the best way to put data for the most data is actually DNA. And so if they can figure the way to print that out the same way, we can store like almost an infinity amount of information onto that. And we're getting, they've already, we've figured out the genome. We got all of that. That's crazy that we've done that.
Yeah. This past 100 years, man, nuts.
The same week that AI came out is the same week that they did the fusion power.
Oh, yeah.
That all came out at the same
super microscopic amount of time, but we were able to show that we can do it.
Yeah.
You just have to build efficiencies and,
right.
Have the lasers not take so much damn energy.
Yeah, I know. But without the lasers and stuff, basically you put 2 in and you get 3 out.
Yeah.
Which I don't quite understand, but that's basically what they say happens.
If we knew that like the back of our hands, I mean, who knows where we'd be right now.
I would be sitting here if I was that.
We'd be we're two dudes on Smart Haus.
We're on Smart Haus trying to fucking figure it out. That's why we're doing it here.
We're as smart as ninjas were ever meant to be.
And so speaking of swearing and being on Smart Haus, supposedly on YouTube you can swear again. Yeah, this is more news, guys. So YouTube will loosen its restrictions on profanity in videos after its November 2022 update received criticism from creators, and it will review videos that were affected by the policy. The updated rules allow creators to monetize videos with mild swearing within the first 7 seconds of a video, while moderate or strong profanity used after that period is eligible for monetization unless used repeatedly throughout the majority of the video. The changes will take effect on March 7th, and videos that were demonetized will be reviewed by March 10th. YouTube will notify creators of the changes in the Creator Studio dashboard.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. That's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're just like kids again.
I think that's funny that enough people were going, what the fuck? Like they were like, oh, sorry. I think it's also funny, too, that it was like just the beginning. They really didn't care afterwards. So as long as you didn't come out swearing like a sailor in the first 10 seconds, they were giving you money. But some people, I guess, were just getting flagged like crazy.
Yeah, just like a lot of things. You start out conservative, and then you learn, and then you reevaluate your process, and maybe you become a little bit more progressive.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what YouTube is doing.
Yeah, hopefully. But, YouTube's wild with that stuff. Because I guess what happened originally is, people were doing their shows for years, forever. And, some people, they swear it, whatever. They swear at the top of their video. That's their content. It's an adult content show.
Their target audience responds well to it.
Yeah. And no issues. And then one day, just all these videos are flagged. They're gone.
I'm sure something happened, right?
Well, see, that's what I heard about this specific update in November, and why they were getting so much criticism is it was just like out of the blue. They weren't doing anything different.
Right.
It's just all of a sudden new policy, which is one thing. Okay, now moving forward, but then new policy and then all your stuff that was been grandfathered in shouldn't be touched.
Yeah, but I think we're getting to the point in society where these companies have so much power. Who does YouTube have to answer to? Absolutely no one.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, they're changing books. They're changing videos. With the AI and all this machine learning, they can go back in time. The movie I saw where they're doing this was Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But they were showing, like, in the background, maybe he can, he's drinking a Pepsi, and they change that to Coke because now they got a new deal with Coke.
Oh.
So they go back and change the brands and stuff.
That's crazy.
So, and even now with books and things, now it's like, what he says there wasn't appropriate. Let's change the line. They can, deep fake it. There's plenty of movies that have a few lines that are like, we just want to change that line. But I'm like, changing the movie.
Yeah. I mean, even if things aren't appropriate for today, that's what the times were. And I think by practicing that, we lose our self-identity, right? Like, you have to honor the past and how things were to have a complete understanding of why you are where you are. Like, if we're giving AI the keys to human history, that's scary. That, to me, is just more scarier than nanobots.
Yeah. It's super scary because then it's like, we were always perfect. Look at our or just
the Holocaust never happened.
Yeah.
What is that?
That is so scary. I mean, people are already trying to do that, but now you can manipulate all this media. But starting out, it'll just be like a company or a studio just like going back through their old library of media and be like, let's just kind of fix this up a little bit. They don't want to swear in this one. Maybe change this character to something.
Like the swearing, the editing. CDs used to come edited.
It's true, right?
Like that kind of stuff. I get, but that's not changing the foundation of whatever the message was.
And eventually they'll start doing that.
Yeah. And that's crazy about the whole branding, right? Like, Coca-Cola's rights ran out. Now let's go through and do Pepsi. Or probably not.
Yeah.
Probably Sprite.
Yeah. But
I think Sprite's even got Coca-Cola come. And even that, it's hard to like peel back the layers and even know who owns what.
I think, it was R.L. Stein, the Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, they went, and I think the quote was, man, I don't know if it was maybe someone in a wheelchair. No. Sorry, it wasn't a wheelchair. It was the line had something to do with the guy looked like a rapper from MTV. That was the line. And they changed it. I don't know what they changed it to, but they got rid of that one.
That's not even like, how would that even be bad?
And they said it was offensive because it was like calling him because it's a rapper. I mean, but that's where it starts, right?
Yeah.
The point is like,
you don't know what rappers like, the mannerisms, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
but they didn't want to have it in there because they thought maybe it'd be offensive. And it was R.L. Stein himself actually censoring it. So it's like self-censoring, which is also, I think, just as scary, because you're hiding the fact, like, because he's seeing in the future, they're also trying to make these books or whatever media so they could sell more.
Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, like, let's all be honest, it's about making money.
Right. It's a capitalism, so it is about making money. But it is scary. You can start hitting buttons and, like, we never said that. We were never like that. We're always the perfect
man. And now you're going to start seeing a romanticism of tangible things again, like physical books. That kind of stuff that you can't change.
Have you ever seen some of the crazy stuff that Disney has put out? Like, there's, like, Nazi propaganda, weird stuff.
Sure.
Like Donald Duck Nazi.
Yeah. Hey, we're just as guilty as the rest of the world,
right.
When it comes to that kind of, that's what the whole Cold War was based on.
Right. It's crazy. We're jumping around here. Here's another news thing. We actually kind of talked about this a little bit, but Spotify feed is coming. So Spotify's CEO and founder announced the largest update to the music streaming service since its release over a decade ago. The update includes a completely redesigned home feed that will display more interactive and visual content to its millions of subscribers. So it's basically a TikTok feed for music. That's what it's got.
Hey, I'm cool with that. Like, it's just another, so it's another way to connect and communicate with folks that are sharing, similar interests, which I think that's always an awesome thing. But at some point, when do we hit saturation of like feeds to spend our time?
Mine right now is around 7 hours, I think, around on my phone. I don't know.
Or even options, right? Like TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Google Chat, which no one uses that. You know what I mean? Like Tumblr. There's so much out there.
Is insane. And you're gonna be in China where it's all one app. It's all WeChat.
It's whatever we allow you to.
Yeah, and they're trying to take over the rest of the world with that.
Yeah.
I love TikTok. I am very much love it. I love it like I used to love YouTube 10 years ago. At one point when I got laid off, I was on YouTube and I was just sucking in all the information. I think I watched 100 TED Talks.
I watch YouTube every single day.
It was just like, I was putting the speed, you can change the speed on YouTube.
So you can watch more.
You can watch more faster, and that's how I took it all in. And then once I really got into TikTok and understood how the algorithm worked, I was watching dudes like make little seeds and farm like in their basement. I was watching guys like open up a storm drain. Like I was entertained by that, and just like how to fix my bathroom. It was just, I felt like I was just sucking in knowledge. And then, and I start using it for me, like teach me editing things, teach me with this. And I felt like the algorithm was so good. It was showing me things that I did not know I even wanted.
Yeah.
It was very surprising. So with music, I don't feel it's there yet. I get on Spotify and I use their made for you playlists, and I try. I love the end of the year thing they give you.
Oh yeah, those are always fun.
But it's not as good as that TikTok feed. And I want that version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think over time it will continue to refine itself. Spotify just started doing something that I didn't even know they did. If you have pre-built playlists, you can hit one button, and based on the entire playlist, it will add like 50, 100 songs to it. Yeah, enhanced. I thought that was kind of cool. And like a lot of those are like winners. Some of the stuff that they recommend. But we can all appreciate how far we have come from Pandora.
I know, right? I used to use LimeWire and
Kazaa,
Napster, Kazaa, yeah.
And guaranteed to get viruses for your computer. If you're thinking, my computer's too clean, man, do I got a program for you.
You know what was always Justin Timberlake? He was the one artist that not only would I get a lot of viruses from, because I swear they did it on purpose, but they purposely, his label would put out like fake and crappy MP3s out into the world. So I remember I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get this new JT song. And I'd download it, and the first 10 seconds was real, then the rest would be garbage.
Yeah.
So I remember I was always going through, I'm like, yeah, new JT. He's like, I'm like, son of a gun.
I remember those days. Gen Z has no idea what we went through. They have no idea how disgusting our computers got because we were downloading. Because, CDs were very expensive, and streaming really wasn't a thing. Or at least targeted streaming really wasn't a thing. So we went through the ringer so you could appreciate what
right. Like you would go in if you got, I remember buying a CD, would basically like one song, maybe two, and then there would be like 15 other songs of trash.
Yeah. They have no idea what pirated music is. Oh, and let alone bootleg movies. So for some of you younger folks out there, if you wanted to see a new movie, you didn't have money to go to the theaters, you would just go down the street and find a guy selling them out of his car, and you would say, hey, this better not be crap like the last one. There was a baby crying. If people would just record movies, the quality would probably be really good nowadays.
So good.
If you had this phone to go back in time, but you would have people walking through, crying, dropping popcorn, eating snacks. It reminded me of Mystery. What was it?
Yeah,
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Science Theater. I loved it.
Yeah, just like that.
And it would be good if the guy in front of you had some good zingers or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I would do, I have to walk down the street. I would actually use the Kazaa or whatever, and you'd have to set that up like the night before, maybe for 2 days.
Yeah.
You'd have a movie being downloaded for like 2 days straight.
Man.
And it would suck if it wasn't a good, the guy recording it wasn't good, or it was a virus.
The best that we had back then was maybe DSL,
Yeah.
but other than that, oh my goodness, you would literally have to just like go get a coffee and come back to wait for a web page to load sometimes.
Man, that was so bad.
Kids these days. So this is the segment called Old Man Yells.
Hey, old man yells at guy. Hey guys, there's the music. I actually had this experience. I was at the bar, and sorry to hop on boomers, but sometimes they just can't wait to argue.
Hey,
It's like,
we're gonna be boomers before you know it.
no, it's not. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna be so into tech. I'm gonna live forever.
We're gonna hit a point where we're not gonna understand stuff. Like they're like, yeah, man, you just think about it and it just appears. Like, what?
I'm Dustin Dowling. I am the host of Smart House. It's not gonna happen. Anyways, so this one lady, she just got going for no reason. I forget what the guy even said to Spur, but they're talking about music. And as soon as she heard word digital, she was like, hey, that digital music is not good as the original stuff. And I'm like, lady, you have no idea. I guarantee you I could come in here and play a digital song for you, and then we'll get like a record player. And if you were blindfolded, you probably really wouldn't know what was better.
Right.
Like maybe you would know the difference.
You would have to, it would be so expensive to even get close to knowing the difference. I mean, you're talking state-of-the-art speakers, like best cable wiring, like all that stuff.
So I don't know. There's so much music everywhere. I'm endowed with it through TikTok and followers and SoundCloud, more than I could ever imagine. I feel like I found new people every single day, and I love that experience of doing that. This is why I love the technology. I definitely listen to more artists that I would never have listened to before, just trying to comb through Napster and such.
100%. And I will say, I will definitely give a shout out to TikTok for that. I have found so many underground artists. I'm like, yo, but my next move is always, let's see if they're on Spotify.
Yeah.
So like Spotify needs to figure something out like with TikTok. Maybe they have some type of integration to where when these artists are on there, you could add them directly to your Spotify playlist.
I would love that.
That would be bomb, because sometimes you go to search for it and you're like, damn, I can't, like, what I want, I don't know what they're called on here, or like how they're listed on Spotify versus TikTok, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be dope. Spotify.
It's annoying.
Step it up. Quit trying to make your own feed and just integrate with TikTok.
Yeah. You're such a bitch about it, because I guess what it is, if you try to push anything off of TikTok, like if you make a video and you promote your song, say you have 1 million followers, and then all of a sudden you're in video, you just promote your song, they will push that video down so hard. Like, you might not even get like a couple thousand views.
This is where it comes, as you were talking earlier, it's all engagement. It's all getting back to grassroots of organic content and marketing, and like embracing that piece so that way you're not so reliant on that platform. And you have to diversify in stocks.
Yeah.
You have to diversify in your platforms that you're on, especially as a business, especially as someone, as a content creator. Because guess what? There was a lot of really talented MySpace creators. I don't know where they are.
We're really digging now into MySpace.
Yeah,
but no, this particular artist I'm thinking about is that's how I find he does music, he does commentary, he does comedy videos, and what he's been doing, he's kind of has to creatively trick the algorithm to think it's just another creative video,
right?
But he's really trying to get you to go to his Spotify or his SoundCloud. So now. He is so good at it, and what's tough, you wish you could just get on and just tell your audience, hey, this is not a regular video. I just put out a new song. Can you go check it out? But TikTok is like, no, dance, motherfucker, dance.
And people want to be entertained.
I know. And that's why I love TikTok over other platforms, at least other platforms are moving that way, was if you suck or if you're not entertaining, TikTok's not pushing your crap.
Right.
So like when I go through and I scroll through, I love it because you're not giving me crap. So if you're going to make stuff and you're going to complain like no one's watching my stuff, well, sorry, Laverne, it's not entertaining. I don't know what that's
switch it up.
But that's
I bought it. No, that sounds right. Change it up, use different hashtags, do collaborations with other content creators.
Collab's always the best thing. This is why you're here.
Yep, 100%.
It's all
about to be here.
It's all about network.
30 years from now, this would be old Smart House. OLD. You'll spell it classically, like old dude.
I'll have like a Times Roman font.
Yeah.
That. All right, before I wrap it up, I want to talk about this one thing I've been thinking of, and you said you're into science and quantum mechanics and stuff like that. So I might end up having to cut this out because this is like a weird thought experiment that I've been having lately. Okay, so do you understand? Obviously you do, but I'm going to say it out for our audience. Do you understand that when we look with our telescopes, like for the James Webb Telescope, and we see super far away,
Right.
that we're really seeing into the past, right?
Because it takes light, it takes amount of time to travel.
So long to travel. So we're really seeing billion years. So we're seeing what it actually looks like back then. So if you try to imagine that, how do I put this? Like if the solar system that we live in now is the only part of the universe, the only thing that's there, and the universe started, what is it? It takes, I think, 7 to 8 minutes for the light to travel from the sun to the Earth. So let's say the universe is only 8 minutes old. Now, you got to add like a lot of stuff. So when I say 8 minutes old, I mean, in 8 minutes, we're here, I'm sitting here, you're sitting right. So allow all that to kind of happen. So it's only been 8 minutes, all right? The sun's there, but the sun was the center of the universe. So we just expanded the Big Bang, per se, from the sun. We're at the Earth. It's only been 8 minutes. Let's go a little further. Let's go like 10, 12 minutes just to make sure we can see the entire solar system. All right. If you're looking out from Earth and we can say we're alive, we can see, what do you see?
So are we operating on the premise that we're the only things in the universe? Is that what you were saying? Like, and then our solar system is only 12 minutes old?
Yes. Yeah. So the only thing you can see. So in the thought, like if you can look like right now.
And the Big Bang happened with us.
Yeah, it's us. It's us. You know, so it's like it's just us. It's like just our solar system.
You're asking, what do you see beyond?
I shouldn't say beyond the Earth. So I should, because it's easier to think that way. So
beyond what light has traveled.
So it's only to like Earth. Or yeah, right. So if you're standing on Earth and you look out into the sky, what do you see?
And there's not. We're operating on the premise there's nothing else in the universe. We're it. And
we're it.
You see beyond. I mean, if there's nothing else out there, you would only see, I would assume, your solar system itself. You
would see the sun in every direction. Because time, you're looking back 8 minutes.
Right.
And as you look back in 8 minutes, we're all there. It's all in one moment. So if you look, no matter where you look, you're looking back into one point. So no matter if I walk out there, I look that way, I'm still looking the same way. I'm still looking the same direction. So you would only see the sun. Does that make sense?
That is pretty wild.
Okay.
I guess it's hard to put yourself in the mindset of you're in the center of the Big Bang.
It's so hard. Yeah. I came up because when I was like researching the James Webb and seeing those weird pictures, I'm not sure you've ever seen where it's like basically the solar system is kind of big and it gets like smaller as it spans out and shows you what we see. And it's the whole thought of like, well, 8 minutes ago, we were all in one spot.
Right.
And so if I look anywhere, since time travels, I'm seeing 8 minutes into the past. So I can only see to that one spot. And so that I had that thought. I'm like, oh, so this sun would just collect. Everything would be the sun. It would be actually infinity bright. You wouldn't be able to see anything. Technically, you'd all be dead. But I'm like, and I try to, like, that's how you need to think about it now. Now the universe is huge. Now try to think with that mindset. And now I'm like, okay, that's an easier way to think about it.
Man. And another question is like, what is the universe expanding in?
Yes.
And there's parts of our universe that during the Big Bang, it had expanded so quickly, like light still hasn't caught up to it. So notice an observable universe.
Yes.
So from our point, we could only, even with the most powerful, like light physics, it hasn't went further than that point, but it's still there. And the universe is constantly expanding infinitely in all directions. So the question is like, it starts really racking your brain. And this is that parallel that we drew earlier, thinking about our current understanding of things and trying to apply it to like the macro.
It doesn't work that
and like
way.
500 years from now, we're like, yeah, we were dumb. Like we're not expanding into something.
Yeah, well, we have all these rules for physics, and then we figure out quantum mechanics, and then we're like, okay, let's try to toss all these out. Let's try to figure out a new way of everything works.
In the same vein, what really racked my brain, and I was losing sleep over this the other night, is the split particle experiment.
Yes, yeah, double slit.
Yeah, and it just like blew my mind how the outcome of something changes only because it's being observed
Or measured.
or measured. It doesn't even have to be by you. It could be whatever instrumentation that you put into place. And it's like, man, if there was any evidence that we're in a simulation, like,
It's crazy. And it's that question, if a tree falls in the wood and someone there to hear it, does it really fall? And apparently the answer is no. And so I think it was 2022, the Nobel Prize, the Science Nobel Prize, what's that? Was they were able to prove, it wasn't the double slit experiment, but they were able to prove in quantum mechanics that something can not be there and simultaneously be everywhere. And that's how, the original computers, it's ones and zeros. So it's either one, it's yes or no, 1 or 0, 1, 0. With quantum mechanics, it can be yes, no, both, or none, or 0. I think it's like 4. I forget the word that is, what it's called, where it's like in different phases and stuff like that. And this goes back to what I was talking about, with like, we understand technology and space only to a point, and then our technology masters, meets that point, or like biology or whatever. And then we understand more, we like change our technology to do that, and it becomes better. So we just keep going back and forth. And we think we know everything, and we know enough to make things work. Then we we know nothing. we do it again.
And that's what quantum mechanics does. It makes, if what we think to be true, if we were able to like fully like prove it, it would change like the macro physics of how we think the universe works. And that stuff, that's still just insane to me, that something can change just because you're like, no, I'm watching.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, that is just like a mind.
It collapses the wave into particles.
Yeah,
is what you're conscious. And that's the question too. What is collapsing the wave? And that's why they say measured or seen. Because what we think that would be is our consciousness is collapsing the wave. So once we're observed or measured, that's the word. That's all the thing is, you know what NPCs are, right? Games. It's like, well,
all these people walking around thinking they're the main character.
Yeah,
but some NPC.
Yeah, and then, well, that's true. It's like, so in my mind, I only know my consciousness. I can't access your consciousness or anything. So maybe you are an NPC. So am I the only consciousness that's conforming the wave?
Right.
Or there's multiple consciousnesses.
Conscious side?
Conscious side. That's
don't know what we're
conform the wave.
Yeah.
And, am I really have that ability when people talk about manifesting? And one thing I do, don't meditate per se, but I do have this thing where it's like goals wise.
Right.
Years from now, I want to do this. And say it's just, I want to own a company that's making millions of dollars a year in profit, and we're making such and such services and products. And I'm like, okay, this is what it visually looks like. What steps in between need to happen? Like, some people they forget that part. They're just like, it looks cool. I'm wishing. Yeah, they're just wishing. It's like, well, at some point in time, you realize it's like a video needs to come out. I mean, this isn't my industry, but I need to make a video every day because the money to work out, it has to happen. I'm like, am I doing that now? No. All right. I got to find a way to make a video every day. And in a way, you do manifest it. Am I conforming the waveform? Or am I, it's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Maybe 100, 300 years from now, we find out that our brains are capable of putting out X amount of energy that actually can manipulate our own reality.
Yeah.
That would be nuts.
And I think that might be what we're doing.
Dude, so what's that phenomenon called again? The whole Bernstein Bears.
Yeah. I forget. That's what I call it.
So what if that's
Mandela effect?
The Mandela effect.
Yeah.
What if that is X amount of people's perception on a certain thing? If that sways one way or another, it's putting enough energy out there where it actually changes, because then it tips the scale into, oh, this is being observed and measured, so now it changes.
The whole thing we're talking about, like companies and such going in the past and changing things with AI.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to do it a lot.
Maybe that's just physics.
Maybe it's just physics. So if you change the everyone's minds enough, it's kind of like marketing anyways. Mm-hmm. You change their minds enough, makes a physical change in
our reality.
My God, that's so crazy.
Dude.
And that's why you're finding Bernstein and find
Monopoly guy, monocle, no monocle.
Does he have a monocle?
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Yes.
Ask yourself, does he have a monocle? I always thought he had a monocle, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a monocle.
This is why I need another producer. This is why I need an AI producer.
Oh, so we could just like Joe Rogan, we could just be like, hey, Jesse, does the Monopoly guy have a monocle?
I saw a guy, he did do an AI thing that was crazy. So he taught the AI basically through prompts that like he was a guest on a show and like he gave it like a certain kind of...
He's never had a monocle.
Where?
He's had a monocle. I don't care. But he's never had a monocle. Because enough people observed and measured and said he didn't have a monocle that it changed the reality as we know it. But it doesn't have the ability to go back and update. Our mind could be the equivalent of things being written down in a book. Whatever's written down in that book could like stay there.
Yeah.
But on the macro reality, that's no longer accurate.
Yeah. So you might have like this memory of it, sort of.
Right.
But
it's old file.
It's an old file. But it is no longer manifested in the physical world.
That's cool. Smart house, baby.
Smart house, baby. Manifesting our own future. That's how we're gonna do it. So I did have a thought there and I lost it, but that's okay because it's now gone in the world and some other multi-universe. Do you believe in the multiverse?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too.
And honestly, I thought a lot on what ghosts could be. My theory is it could be an overlapping of universes, an overlapping of another reality glitching into our own.
You see with the quantum mechanics things is how they explain, like, it's a lot easier to think in our world, think of it as a, what are those things you see on cereal boxes and, like, cards? No, they do, like,
the hologram?
Hologram.
Yeah.
So, like, if you can do a hologram, that's basically a 3D and a 2D world. It's like, okay, so let's just...
Right, different dimensions.
Yeah, and put us in that. And that makes it easier to think of what the fourth dimension is. And basically, like, anyone in the fourth dimension can cast shadows into our world. And so if I was, reaching in, say this was the world you were in, and you're in the 2D world, imagine that's completely flat. And here's me, an object in 4D, but whatever, 3D. And so when I reach into your world, you're only going to see this sliver of it.
Right.
So maybe when the ghosts reach in, they only, that's what they say, they only see that sliver or only that portion. And that's how, there's games you can play, by the way, on your phone. You can go up as high as like 7D or 8D. And they're like games of how to like get the character through.
Oh man, that's
freaking yeah, it is so crazy. I feel like I could talk about this forever. I tried to talk about this in the earlier episodes, and I started to sweat, and I was just getting out. I was just starting to go. I don't understand what I'm saying.
Too. That could be all the lights around here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. I'm getting all over the place with quantum physics. Oh, this is the one thing when you said. I know I'm jumping around. When you asked, what is the universe expanding in? And I heard someone say, think about it as if we're a dot on a balloon. If you take a marker and just put a dot on the balloon, and we're only that dot. We're not the balloon. So imagine that we're the balloon, and now blow the balloon up, and how that expands. So there's not a true center. You're just expanding on this surface or whatever. So I thought that was a cool way to think about it.
Yeah. So hot.
So this has been Smart Haus, Dennis. You want to plug anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to learn more about us, what we do, jump over to firstsipstudios.com. Hit us up on all the social medias. We're on the Facebooks, Instagrams, TikToks, the YouTubes, all that good fun stuff at First Sip Studios. So check us out. Be happy to work with you.
I love how you pluralize anything. That's such a Yinzer thing to say. I don't think you're not originally from Pittsburgh, right?
Oh, right outside of Pittsburgh.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have a Yinzer accent at all then?
I don't think that I do, but there are certain things I catch myself saying. For example, hey, I'm going to go to the Giant Eagles. I'm going to go to like 4 of them. No, I'm going to go to one.
They pluralize everything. That's how you go to Walmart's. You get Kmart's, you get that.
It's even in our branding, it's pluralized. We lean full into it. First Sip Studios.
That is great. Anyways, well, thanks for coming, Dennis.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Smart Haus on the Pits. All the news stories can be found on Smart Haus Facebook page and soon on the Reddit page. Check out www.thepitts.company where you can find endless amounts of funny and informative content from Pittsburgh. Smart Haus is produced by the Gateway.media, the gateway to all your media needs. Guys, this has been Smart Haus.